Wow, that's great to find out. I'm glad he got some results back. Right? So this is the thing. Now they can go through and cycle back through all those meds if need be until they find one that works. But you just never know, right? Like, and that proves it. Who would have thought that folic acid, something that I always equated to pregnant women taking in order to develop proper fetuses, right? Because having a lack of folic acid is very common with anemic people. So when you get pregnant, it's usually advised to take folic acid supplements. Anyways, my autistic son is probably the easiest person I can understand, connect with for some reason. Have you tried to follow these paths? Aniv, read the fucking room. I don't care about your paths, okay? The highly intelligent and the highly creative are at times the most tortured. Yeah. And they hide it with humor for the most part, from what I've witnessed. And I mean, we see it in pop culture all the time, right? It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to feel different. And it's okay to be honest about this shit. Like, I don't know. But Ash, I completely agree with you. I don't know. I feel like I was always empathetic. This is the thing, right? Like, my childhood up until a certain point was fairly normal. I had both my parents. I had, I mean, my dad worked in oil, so he was out of the country a lot. He'd be like at home 3 weeks and then gone 3 weeks pretty much all year. So that was something different from my friends. But all the same, like, we had a home, things were stable. Once their marriage fell apart, things really went to shit. And that being said, them divorcing was probably the best thing they could have ever done. It was the care that my mother wasn't able to provide after the divorce that really got me, She wasn't taking care of us. She wasn't taking care of herself. So that mixed with her dealing with her own mental health struggles really put a strain on us. And I think, had it happened differently, I probably would be the same in terms of my empathy. I'd like to think. I guess you'll never know, right? Because it's all situational. However, I remember being like 4 or 5 years old and thinking about getting old and getting sick and having certain thoughts that were dark. So I don't know. There's got to be a point where nature and nurture collide, right? And it's both genetics and a product of your environment. I think the right concoction develops you. I don't think it necessarily has to be one or the other. If that makes any sense at all. I'm kind of just rambling at that point, but especially in today's world, if someone isn't depressed or has anxiety, how? Just how? Everything is a shit show. Hey Tom, you're trash, but I love you. Thank you so much, Silver Gangster. I know I'm trash. I embrace it. I praise it. I love you too. It's wild, Brittany. My kids are even showing signs of anxiety. Now, I mean, they had to go through COVID too, right? Like, it hasn't been an easy time, given everything that's going on in the world, especially. But there's so much pressure. One thing that I'm really happy about in my kids' school right now is that they actually have a no homework policy. Can you guys believe that shit? So my daughter, who's in 2nd grade, brought home a note last week from her teacher that said, hey, this school, we don't have a homework policy. So we're going to continue with a no homework method to avoid adding extra pressure to the students. Because we know they've been dealing with a lot. And I have positive and negative feelings regarding this, right? Because they're dealing with enough as is. Like, schools just reopened properly for the first time. She did the majority of her kindergarten year over Teams or Zoom meetings. Like, unbelievable. Not something you would ever want for a child, right? But now that things are starting to get back to normal and they're in class and stuff, the added pressure of homework on top of all this might be a lot. So maybe they're just easing them back into it. My negative feelings regarding that policy are that once they get to high school, they're going to have no idea what fucking hit them. You know what I mean? I think there needs to be some sort of gradual incline in terms of that. Because high school level homework is wild in comparison. So going from nothing to everything could be a lot. Regardless, that wasn't my point. The pressure on kids these days, holy shit. And the pressure we put on our kids. Like, I'm not a perfect parent. I have my flaws. I have my triggers of things that my kids do that shouldn't bug me but do, probably from my own past traumas, right? It's not an easy time for them. All we can hope is that we do our best, right? We try to teach them the right ways, teach them ethics, hope that they have some of that instilled by the time they go, right? My stepdad was a mental abuser and a narcissist. We never knew what the hell was going to happen with him, so we were always on edge growing up. Yeah. That I'd fall so yeah, I would put my mother into the narcissist category, you know? Like, her and I have a better relationship now than ever before, especially since the kids have been around. But my childhood was not something great. Like, by the time I was 8 years old, I had witnessed her being arrested 9 times. No, not 9 times. I was 9 years old. 3 times, you know? Actually put in the back of a cop car with me right beside her. Either DUIs or resisting arrest or disturbing the peace. My dad had a lot to do with that, though. He didn't help the situation, right? Like, they divorced, and he moved 3 houses down and then refused to sign divorce papers while living with another woman. So, like, we're getting heavy here. We're getting pretty deeply personal, but it gives you some context into the shit I saw. And why I might have these ideas that I have, right? One thing I know for sure is that regardless of what I'm dealing with, thus far, I feel like I'm doing better by my kids than my parents did by me. And that's all you can hope for as a parent, right? My dad mentally abused me growing up, also sexually abused me. Yeah, moof, I mean, it's a thing, right? I want to say when we were growing up, they said 1 in 3 people had dealt with SA. And I feel like that is becoming more like half of people, if not more. I myself had some run-ins with some things that definitely shouldn't have happened. You're not alone. I'm so sorry you had to deal with that. I'm on the mixed fence towards no homework thing myself, yeah. It's not okay forcing yourself to function in a way you can't function in. So don't change your coping skills just to appear normal, to an extent. Wow, no homework? I can't imagine, right? I like the sentiment. And for lower grades like grade 2, I'm totally fine with it, because she's dealing with more than enough, especially given her disability there. Like, I'm happy for it. But I'm hoping in the later years of elementary school they change that. My wife has generalized anxiety disorder, and due to her getting anxious over the things they do, it causes my oldest to get the same anxious thoughts. So I need to constantly reassure him in order to not overbear him. So he's a very empathetic one. He's picking up on that. And I feel like my kids pick up on my moods too. Like I said earlier, right? My moods will switch. I'll go from being okay and having a great day to either reading something or speaking to somebody, and I'll immediately be in a bad mood. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to control it yet. That's one thing I have yet to get a coping mechanism for. At any rate, it's definitely had an effect on them. I can tell that my eldest is on edge around me at times. Simply due to that, she's not sure how I'm going to react to certain things. And it's something I've been very cognizant of lately, and I'm working on. I really like your content. I've only been here today, but I want to see more. Curie, you fit right in. I appreciate the contribution you've had today, and feel free to come back anytime. Kids need homework, but it needs to be an at-level balance. That's right. That's right. You can't, give it all to them at once. participation trophies. I agree with you there. They need homework to some extent. So like, we've taken it upon ourselves to get like, you know, whiteboard marker workbooks for them to at least do some stuff outside of school. But, you know, oddly enough, I remember as a kid hating homework so much, even as a teenager, because I was like, okay, in 90% of jobs, when you leave that job, you're off the clock. Are you doing work? Because that's bullshit. Now we're paying to not only be at school all day and have them teach us, but we have to do more so afterwards. So you got to wonder if maybe that's just a lack of teachers actually teaching during school, right? Oh, we couldn't cover the whole curriculum throughout the course of a year, so you got to make sure that you do it at home too, on top of the 8 hours you're here every day. I feel like it's a lot to expect of young children, you know? But I'm not against what you're saying. I think homework is important to an extent. And because I'm into math and things like that, I was always fine with doing homework, right? Not everybody's like that, though. My kids not being phased, getting generational trauma by my stuff is kind of why I lean to stoicism a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I'd say that most kids' negative developments in terms of their mental health stems from parents. It's just how it is. So it's up to us to break those cycles, right? Like, that's it. 1 to 3. Jesus Christ makes my heart hurt. I'm so sorry to those who've been infected.
Oh,
it's not your fault.
Nobleman.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 1 out of 3. The last statistic I read
am
that
the
was
ratio
like
rated
one
my
of every
stream
3
with
adults has
15
been sexually
viewers.
assaulted. And they used to say it was just females, but now males are starting to be included on that as well. Holy shit. I am the ratio coming in on the heavy talk with the raid. Welcome in, sir. Let's see who we got here. Any friend of Ratio is a friend of mine.
I met a new friend.
My name's Honest Thomas.
Real or imaginary?
I'm a Canadian. I like Souls likes. I play like trash. Welcome in. I'm filthy. I'm not nearly as good as Ratio, and I don't have the facial hair either. But if you like humor, and you like a bit of crassness, and you like heavy talks, and Souls-like games, you've hit the right place. Ratio, I hope you're doing well. Let me get you a shout out here after I go through everything. Meatloaf. Ratio, Scruff, Gigantic Bucket. 1/3 of the bucket trifecta. Let's go. Thank you for that shout out, Lita Lee. Oh shit. You had to, eh? Super Nintendo.
You're a cunt.
I'm a big cunty, I'll give you that. I had to stop working off the clock, checking my work. Controlled my life. Gave you so much anxiety. Yeah. You gotta be able to put it down, right? Thank you, Lita Lee, for that shout out. My dude. Yo, Ratio, how was stream? Ratio had to raid and run because he had family things, but he was playing Fall Guys with chat. Awesome. I love me some Fall Guys. Did you guys get any crowns today? Picked a bad time to play that sound bit. You're fine. Monica, hi. How you doing? Yeah, I've made it my mission to help my kids have a better life than we had growing up. That's all you can do. If my kids can avoid at least just a smidgen of the trauma or mental health issues that I've dealt with, then I consider it a win, right? Haven't heard 2 certain sound bites in a while. See, Super Nintendo? Get to the cellar. Yo, thank you so much for that raid, Ratio. I appreciate the new follows. Welcome in, everybody. I actually ran away in my young adult years due to him. Physically hurt me, mentally hurt me as an autistic child. Stare at me in the eyes and say, I hate you. If your mom wasn't around? Wow. Curie. Thank you so much for sharing this. Throw it against the wall, scream. That's in a very, very abusive, toxic situation to be in. I'm so glad, you know, you made it through that. Nobody should have to deal with that shit. It's fucking heartbreaking. Say it because my wife is a teacher. Yes, there is too much in the curriculum. So there is only so much time. Yeah, some of it needs to be practiced at home. And if they want to do better in life and understand the grand spectrum of different subjects, right, they need that foundation. So I'm totally with you, Lord Infamous. Which is why we've gone ahead and done certain things that help outside of class. Because especially given the last 2 years, I don't think her grade 2 is the level of grade 2 we were dealing with 20 years ago, right?